welcome back. Today I'm bringing you 6 wonderful breakfast related recipes that are super simple to make. They all require around 10 minutes of prep time max. They're pretty healthy. Some might even say some are high in protein. Yeah, overall just delicious things that I highly recommend you try out for yourself sometime this week. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. I'm gonna start this video off with my current favorite porridge recipe. It's for this cozy lemon poppy seed oatmeal. It's perfect. I highly recommend you try this. Add all the following ingredients to a small to medium pot: quick cooking oats, a generous pinch of salt, lots of vanilla, a tablespoon of poppy seeds, a teaspoon of lemon zest, and some plant-based milk of choice. Plus you might also want to add a splash of water or two. Bring this up to a quick boil, then reduce to a simmer and allow this to cook until you're happy with the consistency. Also add in some sweetener of choice. I'm going with maple syrup. And I'm topping my oats with a spoon or two of unsweetened soy yogurt, a single lemon cookie, also more cookie crumbs and lemon zest, mainly for aesthetics. Let me know in the comments, what is your current favorite oatmeal flavor? I'm between this one and the cinnamon raisin version I shared on here not too long ago. Moving on to these protein-packed kimchi pancakes, which are gluten-free as well. First, combine all the dry ingredients: chickpea flour, baking powder, and salt. Next, add in some non-dairy milk and some vinegar, and mix it all up using a whisk. Now add your fillings of choice. I would suggest going with 1 to 2 spring onions, a couple tablespoons of vegan kimchi, and half a block of firm plain tofu that you're gonna shred using a cheese grater. Mix it all up. Amazing. I'm using flavor neutral coconut oil. Even though it's non-stick, still make sure that the oil is distributed evenly. On my first try, some of the batter got stuck a little bit because I didn't pay attention to that. This recipe makes for 4 bigger pancakes. And there you go. I'm serving these up in a bit of a fancier brunch type way by adding unsweetened soy yogurt, crispy chili oil, spring onion, and sesame seeds. These are so nice, but they're really good without any toppings as well. Chickpea flour on its own has already like a savory base flavor, so I would honestly say this is a more delicious savory pancake than if you were to be using regular all-purpose wheat flour. Let's make some coffee next. Salted vanilla cold foam cold brew. Getting cold brew from coffee shops can sometimes be a bit of a hit or miss, so doing it yourself is a safe choice. First, prepare the cold brew 8 to 12 hours in advance. If you're using whole beans, which I would highly recommend you do, make sure to grind them into coarse coffee grounds. Transfer those to a jar and fill up the rest with water. I'm only making 2 to 3 servings here, so feel free to double the amount of everything used. Seal the jar and refrigerate until the next morning. Now strain everything through a coffee filter. Yeah, this mess could have been a lot worse. Let's prepare the cold foam next. You can either use an electric milk frother, or if you have a smaller size blender, that should also do the trick. So basically, blend barista oat milk, vanilla of some kind, salt, a splash of oat cream, and optional but recommended, a bit of maple syrup, which I forgot to add here, but I will be adding it in a second. That's all the preparation that needs to be done. Now onto assembling. I like to fill about 3/4 of the jar with the cold brew, but feel free to adjust the ratios here. This is where I am missing my maple syrup. I'm giving the milk another blend and then adding it to the coffee.
I had a really terrible morning. This is the first good thing that happened to me today. I want to cry.
I like banana, but I don't always have to have it in every single smoothie. And so for this next recipe, I wanted to create a delicious and creamy banana-free smoothie that should somewhat taste like dessert, but also be pretty high in protein at the same time. Cinnamon cookie oat shake is what I'm calling this. First, allow a handful of deglaed Noor dates to soak in hot water for about 5 minutes. Drain the dates and transfer them to a blender alongside all the other shake ingredients: silken tofu, almond butter, some vanilla, quick cooking oats, ground flax seeds, tiny bit of maple syrup, bunch of ice cubes, lots and lots of cinnamon, and some non-dairy milk of choice. Also, not pictured but definitely recommended, add a generous pinch of salt. Blend until smooth. This may take up to a few minutes. But there you go. Due to the oats and the flax seeds, is going to thicken up quite a bit. It's sweet and salty at the same time. It is so nice. Moving on to these insanely delicious, healthier cookie dough bars. This is a bit more of a meal prep recipe, although preparation time takes around 10 minutes as well. Grab a 20 centimeter loaf pan and line it with parchment paper. Use wet parchment paper, it just fits easier. Next, grab a food processor, or in my case, a smaller smoothie maker, and add the following: oats, salt, and cinnamon. Now blend to turn this into oat flour. Once nice and fine, add the remaining cookie dough ingredients, except for the chocolate chips. So that's gonna be white beans, maple syrup, tiny bit of vegetable oil, vanilla, oat milk, and that's it. You might have to scrape down the sides a few times to make sure everything is incorporated. Now, finally add in the dark chocolate chips. Mix them in by hand. I mean, you could use the blender, which I'm trying out here for a second. However, what might happen is that the heat from the blades could potentially melt the chocolate. Which is not necessarily a bad thing because that gives you like a fun chocolate swirl pattern. Transfer the cookie dough mix to the loaf pan, smoothing out the top. You could also add some nuts here or something like that. And now this is optional but recommended. Melting some more bittersweet chocolate together with some flavor neutral coconut oil, and then pouring that on top. Now this goes into the freezer for 1 to 2 hours. This will give the bars a really nice, ready-to-eat kind of consistency. I would suggest that at this point you cut them into 4 to 5 portion sizes and then store the individual bars either in the freezer or in the fridge, depending on how long you want them to last. These are so incredibly delicious. They taste more like cookie dough and protein bites than anything else. I do not taste any beans in there, I promise. Last but not least, I wanted to make a cozy miso soup type breakfast. Okay, so to the saucepan, add hot water alongside some dried seaweed. Less is more when it comes to the seaweed because it's going to grow in size quite a bit. Also, if you find the flavor a bit too intense, because it can be quite fishy, you can substitute the wakame with pieces of nori. For a bit more umami, I'm adding 3 dried shiitake mushrooms. Plus, to balance out the flavor, I like to add a bit of vinegar and maple syrup. Now I'm bringing this up to a simmer. In the meantime, I'm cutting up some semi-firm tofu. I'm adding that to the soup, letting everything cook for about 3 minutes. I'm mixing together the light miso paste and some hot water. You don't want the miso to boil, so I'm turning down the heat. Remove the shiitake mushrooms and you can cut them up and put them back into the soup just so they're a bit easier to eat, or you can remove them entirely if you're not a big fan of their texture. I like this soup, it's very cozy, but I do need some other things to have with it. I had some cucumber sprinkled with salt, sesame seeds, and some crispy chili oil. Also some toasted spelt bread with vegan butter and salt. And then I also had one of these healthy ginger shots on ice. Very fancy, I know.
Somewhere. Sorry, this is a mess.
Oh,
There we go. Too much. Perfect.
that's all the recipes I have for today. I don't know if this is like annoying to ask or talk about, but feel free to follow my Instagram. I mostly share just like more personal stuff on there, what I'm doing, music recommendations. I'm going to Japan really soon, and I'm going to be sharing, I think, a lot on there, on Instagram specifically, although I also want to make a YouTube video about it. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. And last but not least, here's a word from my lovely sponsor, Squarespace. The all-in-one platform to help you grow and establish your brand and business online. Start by browsing their wide selection of beautiful website templates, or create your own from scratch if you prefer. Squarespace offers SEO tools in order for you to show up more often in people's search engines, helping you grow your audience and bring in new customers. You can do fundraisers on Squarespace as well by using their donation tools. You can generate passive income by offering content behind a paywall, and create your own new logo within Squarespace as well. If you need any extra help, they've got their 24/7 award-winning customer service at the ready. Start today. Go to squarespace.com/MinaRome or use code MinaRome to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.